Was I can't help but really say I wonder how Floyd feels being beat by a woman for once. I'd like to see you pretend to not know who I am now, but you're not doing that. But you mentioned that you know who you're aware of her, you know who she is. But what about that quote?
I just say that, you know, I've yet to see any MMA fighter or other boxer make over $300 million in 36 minutes. You know, when she can do that, then call me.
That was Floyd Mayweather in early August talking about MMA superstar Ronda Rousey. Since then, the two have been firing shots. Rousey responding to Mayweather's comments with the following to TMZ. Floyd said, "You make $300 million a night, then you can give me a call." And I actually did the math. And given the numbers of my last fight, I'm actually the highest paid UFC fighter, and I'm a woman. I think I actually make 2 to 3 times more than he does per second. Not one to shy away from the war of words. Mayweather responding with the following to TMZ. "Big bank, take little bank. Let's play and see how much money you got. Last time I checked, I was #1 on Forbes. She will never be at my status. Keep trying to get publicity." Stephen A., what is going on here?
Well, first of all, if you would allow, let me backtrack to the Daryl Dawkins thing by saying I misspoke because, damn it, I know that the man wasn't on an '83 championship team with the 76ers. Moses Malone was, but I completely forgot that by talking about it, so I just wanted to make that correction.
No problem.
Now back to the subject at hand. Let's say this. First of all, Ronda Rousey's big time. She's a star, and a legitimate star. She's ferocious. On top of all of that, she looks great. You know, she's got the whole package in terms of being a female star in the fight game. Having said all of that, Floyd Mayweather is absolutely right when he says she'll never accomplish what he accomplished, because when you talk about making $300 million, there's no boxing history that has ever pulled that off. The money that he's made for one fight, let alone the money that he's made in his career. Floyd Mayweather can sit there and hide all he wants. And, you know, the man's a billionaire. Floyd Money Mayweather has made over $1 billion. Let's just call it what it is. I'm telling you, the man's worth about $1 billion. May not want everybody to know that, but it's just the truth, okay? And Ronda Rousey's not pulling that off by being a fighter in the UFC. Now, she might make some investments and, you know, and hit the lotto and hit the jackpot, and maybe it'll happen that way. But as a fighter, she will never make the money that Floyd Money Mayweather has made. So let's stop the nonsense about, well, you know what, I made more per second. Well, you know, okay, if that's how you want to do it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it ain't the seconds that count in the bank account. It's the dollars. And Floyd has more than any boxer in history, and nearly as much, if not more, as any athlete in history worldwide. That is just a fact. And so when we look at that, the comparisons are, you know, it's really not one. Having said all of that, let's understand what's going on here. Ronda Rousey, rightfully so, as a woman, does not like Floyd Mayweather. His past, obviously checkered, well documented by ESPN, particularly Outside the Lines, and regurgitated by an abundance of analysts on this network and beyond. If you are a woman, you are not going to like Floyd Money Mayweather. And the fact that Ronda Rousey says what she says, Floyd Money Mayweather is never going to fight her. First of all, he'd lose if it was in the octagon. He'd win if he was in a boxing ring. Let's get that out the way. But more importantly, it's impossible, particularly in today's society, for him to win any way you slice it. Because any man who puts his hand on a woman is a loser and is going to lose. It is that simple. There is no way around that. And so her talking just highlights and reminds everybody of Floyd's transgressions, which is the ultimate agenda here by Ronda Rousey, as far as I'm concerned. She knows they're not going to fight. And yes, it's publicity. But Ronda Rousey, rightfully so, I might add, has a problem with any man who puts his hands on a woman. And this is a way for her to bring attention to Floyd's obvious past transgressions. So every time she's in the news for going at Floyd, it reminds everybody of Floyd's track record. And that is what her goal is. Simple and plain.
Okay, I hear everything you just said. I'm sure a lot of that is operating in her motivation to keep firing back at Floyd. But I got to remind you, the first shot here was fired by Floyd Mayweather Jr. when he said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't even know who she is.
Oh,
Really?
yeah, I forgot about
You
that.
don't know who she is? That started all this. I don't even know who she is.
My bad. I didn't realize that was the first salvo. I didn't know that. I thought that there was something else that happened
But I
before
mean, that's
that,
what really
where she
poured the
said-
gasoline
I
on
thought-
her fire to
I-
me, just on her pride, because
There's-
he should know who she is.
Just
Okay.
throwing myself on the sword. I thought she had said something about him, and that's why he said, I don't know who she is, and then it went from there. I had no
I'm
idea.
saying that's what
I had no
sparked
idea that
the
he said
back and
something.
forth.
I didn't know.
Well,
I didn't know
well,
that.
then it escalated from that point,
Right.
because in a little while, Floyd realized not only did he know who she was, but she's a really, really big deal. She has made herself into a big deal. And you're right, she's not going to make $1 billion, I doubt. I mean, Floyd, according to Forbes, and he's right about that, he was #1 on their list of athletes, he made $420 million just in 2015.
My goodness.
Well, it's just staggering because he made $220 million, according to Forbes, just off the Pacquiao fight. Well, I don't know. Can Ronda ever pull that off? I doubt it, because I don't think any other man can pull that off. That's just, as you said, no boxer's ever done that before, male boxer. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
And
okay.
I go ahead, Sip.
All right,
I'm sorry. Go
so
ahead.
here's, I'm going to take this from Floyd's point of view. What has been amazing to me is that Floyd now keeps firing back at her through TMZ or whatever outlet he can grab at his beck and call. If TMZ is nearby, he'll say, "Come on over here. I got something for Ronda." Well, remember, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is about to, it's only a few days away. It's September 12th. He's fighting Andre Berto. You and I agree. What are you doing, Floyd? Who's going to buy that? I mean, I guess I'm going to have to buy it because it's our job. Well, if we're going to talk about it, I got to see how bad or good it looks, I guess. I'm wrestling with myself about whether I'm going to buy it. But I'm suspecting that a whole lot of folks out there will not buy this fight for whatever they're going to, $75. So I think Floyd is using Ronda to try to hype the Berto fight by creating more publicity via her. And his last line to TMZ was, keep trying to get publicity to Ronda. No, Floyd, you're the one who's trying to keep getting publicity for your Berto fight.
Well, listen, I'm a big boxing fan, as you well know. I love the fight game, and I separate a lot of things inside the ring from outside the ring. You know, Mike Tyson had his checkered past, but it didn't stop me from wanting to watch him fight. Floyd Mayweather has his past. It doesn't stop me from wanting to watch him fight. But I think what Floyd needs to recognize is that it ain't just women that have a problem with his track record. It's men too.
Sure.
And so he's got to be careful. He's got to be careful of that. We can appreciate, we can talk to you. It's your past. Like, he looked me dead in the face. There are a lot of things he denied, but there were other things he said nothing about. And his mentality is that was the past. I moved on. Nobody's perfect. I know what mistakes I made. Fine, so be it. But what he has to recognize is that when you get into a tit for tat with a woman about the fight game, even though in this particular instance he was talking about money as opposed to fighting her, because he's never addressed that subject really, at the end of the day, it's her way of reminding the world of who she thinks you are and how little she thinks of you. Sure. And the more you engage in that tit for tat, the worse you look if you're Floyd Mayweather. Now, he may not. Now, he's in a position not to care, in all honesty. I mean, he can't engage in lawlessness, certainly can't be putting his hands on women. But let's be clear, in terms of opening his mouth, he's in a rare position, because what can possibly be done to him? He's got more money than he can spend. He's set for generations, okay? He doesn't have to deal with corporate America if he chooses not to, because he's already got his money. But still in all, if you care anything about how you look, he doesn't need to address Ronda Rousey at all. He needs to just literally sit there and say next question when anybody asks him a thing about her, because her objective is to remind the world of his transgressions.
Okay, fine.
And every time he addresses it, that's exactly what it is.
Fine by me. Great by me. So why does Floyd keep going back at her and going back at her and going back at her?
Because Floyd goes back at anybody.
No.
Hold on, wait a minute. In fairness to him, you tell me one human being that has spoken against Floyd Money Mayweather and he hasn't come back at him. Even when it's me. Okay, which you've been on the record highlighting. Look, I've been his biggest supporter as a fighter. I think he's the best in the world. I told you he was going to beat Pacquiao. I told you he was going to beat the Ghost Guerrero straight out of jail. I told you he was going to beat Ortiz. I told you he was going to beat everybody. And that's exactly what he has done. But what I'm saying to you is that he came at me. He'll come at you. He'll come at another fighter. He'll come at a promoter, Bob Arum. He'll come at Oscar. He'll come. Who does he not? Give him credit for consistency now. It doesn't matter who it is. He comes at his own daddy. He comes at, it don't matter.
But right now, he is desperate for hype for this fight. Desperate for publicity and attention. And by the way,
it's hard to say a billionaire is desperate, Skip.
I think he is.
It is hard.
Is anybody going to watch this fight?
Desperate.
Okay.
Andre Berto might be desperate.
Yeah.
Not Floyd.
The charity fight. That's right. The charity fight that he gave Andre Berto. And my final point to you is, I think I've come at Floyd a few times, and I've challenged him to come sit right here, and I'm waiting, Floyd. Still waiting and waiting and waiting.
He actually wants to. There are issues not involving you as to why he has not. You are not the reason he doesn't want to come on that set.
Right,
He'd gladly come on that set.
All right.
It doesn't have anything to do with you.
He would be welcome as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're willing to travel if need be, maybe?
Well, I would love to invite him to beautiful Bristol.
Right?
I'm not sure he's been to beautiful Bristol.
You're going to give him the tour?
He's been everywhere else.
Grab some lunch in the caf?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a big MMA fan, Ronda Rousey fan, but you can't go toe-to-toe with Floyd when it comes to money. You're just going to lose that one all day, every day. Coming up, does the Mamba have another couple of years left in him? Jim Buss thinks so. We'll give you his latest comments when we return.